Every morning at exactly 7:45, the small silver bell above the diner door gave a soft jingle, and every morning a little girl walked in. Her name was Lily, though no one knew it yet. She looked to be around 10 years old. Please like and subscribe to my channel for more contents like this. Always alone. She never smiled, never spoke. She just slipped quietly into the corner booth by the window, head down, arms tight around an old backpack. Her hoodie was too big for her, and her shoes were worn out, the soles taped together. Rachel, a waitress in her late 20s, noticed her from the very first day. She had a warm heart and sharp eyes. While other customers barely glanced at the girl, Rachel saw her, and what she saw made her chest ache. At first, Rachel thought maybe the girl was just shy. But as the days passed, it became clear there was more to her silence. Lily didn't speak at all. She simply pointed to the same thing on the menu each time. The kids' pancake special. Rachel started bringing the dish with more care. A little extra syrup. A small swirl of whipped cream when she could sneak it in. Sometimes, she folded a napkin into a funny shape. Once, she drew a smiley face on a sticky note and tucked it next to the plate. Lily never smiled. But one day, Rachel saw something else. Lily's eyes softened. Just a little. Rachel never asked any questions. She didn't want to embarrass her or make her feel small. She just wanted Lily to feel seen. And so, every morning, the pancakes arrived with quiet kindness. Lily ate slowly, carefully, as though afraid it might disappear. When she finished, she'd gather her things and slip out the door like she had never been there at all. No goodbye, no noise, just the soft scrape of the booth and the fading jingle of the bell. Other customers barely noticed Lily, but Rachel noticed everything. The way Lily's hands trembled when she reached for her fork. The way she hunched her shoulders like she was trying to disappear. The hunger in her eyes that she tried so hard to hide. It wasn't just about the pancakes. Lily carried something heavy, something no child should have to bear. And Rachel decided in her own quiet way to carry some of it for her, even just for those 30 minutes each morning. It didn't take long for Rachel to realize that Lily often didn't have enough money to pay. She'd dig into her hoodie pocket, pulling out coins with shaky fingers. Sometimes she came close. Sometimes she didn't. Rachel never made a scene. She'd place her hand gently over the receipt and whisper, "You're good, sweetheart," before walking away. The register didn't always balance on those mornings. But Rachel made up the difference from her own tips. It was never about the money. It was about giving a little girl a moment of peace. Rachel treated Lily like any other customer. No questions, no pity, just a warm smile and a plate of pancakes. But one morning, something changed. After finishing her meal, Lily didn't slide out of the booth like she usually did. She sat still for a moment, eyes fixed on the syrup bottle. Then, very slowly, she looked up. Her voice was so soft Rachel almost didn't hear it. "Thank you," she whispered. Just 2 words, but they landed like thunder in Rachel's heart. She stood frozen beside the table, blinking. Lily lowered her gaze again and stood. Then, like always, she walked out the door without looking back. Rachel stood at the booth, unable to move. The small word echoed in her mind, "Thank you." It wasn't just about the pancakes. That word held every quiet morning, every note, every unspoken need that had passed between them. Rachel placed the receipt on the table, though she knew Lily wouldn't return for it. She folded the napkin the way Lily liked, left a smiley face again, and went back to the counter, her eyes wet. She didn't know what Lily's story was, but she knew this. Her kindness had been felt. The next morning, Rachel got to the diner early. She refilled the syrup bottle and wiped down the corner booth twice. At 7:45, the bell above the door rang. Her head snapped up, but it wasn't Lily. A man in a business suit stepped inside. Then another customer, and another, but no small girl in a hoodie. Rachel waited, still trying to believe Lily was just late. By 8 o'clock, the booth remained empty. She carried on with her shift, but her chest ached. Something didn't feel right. The following day, Rachel tried to brush off the worry. Kids get sick. Maybe she stayed home. But Lily didn't come the next day either. Or the day after that. Every morning, Rachel glanced at the door the second the bell jingled. Every morning, her heart sank. That little corner booth sat untouched. The pancakes stayed in the kitchen. The syrup bottle untouched. No one else noticed. But to Rachel, it was like a light had gone out in the diner. By the end of the week, Rachel stopped pretending she wasn't worried. She had never asked Lily's name, never asked where she lived. Now she was gone, and Rachel was left with silence and questions. Was she okay? Had someone taken her? Had she been found? She thought of 100 possible stories, each one worse than the last. She refilled coffee, wiped tables, smiled at customers. But inside, a heaviness settled deep in her chest. She missed someone she had barely spoken to, someone who had changed her world with a whisper. Rachel started watching the street through the diner's front window. She memorized every face that passed by, hoping for a glimpse of that oversized hoodie or the taped-up shoes. Each time the bell above the door rang, she turned with a quiet breath held. But it was never Lily. She told herself it wasn't her place to worry, but her heart refused to agree. She had served hundreds of people over the years. None had slipped under her skin like that little girl. And now Lily was a shadow haunting the booth, the syrup bottle, the empty napkin holder. Her co-workers noticed her quietness. "You okay, Rachel?" asked Mark, the cook, one morning. "I'm fine," she said quickly. But even her voice didn't sound convincing. "You sure?" he asked again. "You haven't smiled in days." She looked at the booth and then back at him. "I'm just wondering about someone." Mark didn't push. He just nodded and went back to flipping bacon. Rachel kept working, but the mornings felt colder, the days longer. She couldn't stop wondering where was Lily. 2 weeks crawled by. Rachel had nearly given up hope when a sleek black SUV pulled up outside the diner just after sunrise. Its windows were tinted, the tires spotless. It looked wildly out of place next to the beat-up cars usually parked outside. Rachel watched it idly as she poured coffee, expecting a businessman or politician. The bell rang sharply. Everyone in the diner turned to look. In stepped a tall man in an expensive suit, flanked by 4 large bodyguards. Conversation halted. Forks paused midair. Rachel's hand froze around the coffee pot. And then she saw her, peeking from behind one of the men, Lily. Same face, same cautious eyes, but this time her hoodie was clean, her face freshly washed. She looked nervous, like she didn't know if she was allowed to be there. Rachel's heart leapt. "Lily!" she whispered, though no one heard her. The man's eyes scanned the diner until they found Rachel. He walked up to her slowly, the room watching in silence. His voice trembled slightly. "Are you the woman who helped my daughter?" he asked. Rachel blinked, unsure what to say. Her lips parted, but no words came out. Then she nodded. "Yes," she said softly. Lily peeked out from behind the suited men and gave the tiniest nod. The man's face softened. His voice dropped to a whisper. "I'm her father, James Walker. I had no idea where she'd gone. She ran off from her security team. She just wanted to be normal for a little while. And you were there for her, when I wasn't." Rachel felt tears prick her eyes, not from pride, but from the weight of it all finally settling. Rachel swallowed hard. "She never told me her name," she said quietly. "I didn't know anything. I just saw her." Mr. Walker nodded slowly. "She wouldn't have told you. She's been through a lot. This world, it hasn't been kind, not even to a child with everything money can buy." Rachel looked at Lily again. The girl still stood half behind a bodyguard, half exposed, like she was unsure of the light. "I just gave her pancakes," Rachel said. "That's all." Mr. Walker gave a short, quiet laugh. "That's not all. You gave her peace." The diner, still hushed, felt like it had shrunk to just the three of them. Mr. Walker took a slow breath, then spoke again. My daughter has everything: tutors, bodyguards, travel, a room full of toys she barely touches. But she never had freedom, or kindness without strings. She didn't tell anyone where she was going. My team searched for days, and this whole time she was here, eating pancakes. Rachel looked down at her hands. She had never expected any of this. She seemed hungry, she said, and lonely. Mr. Walker turned to Lily. Do you want to speak to her? He asked. Lily nodded slowly, then stepped forward. For the first time, Rachel saw her smile, not big, not wide, but real. I miss this place, Lily whispered. Rachel crouched a little to meet her eyes. We missed you too, sweetheart. Lily looked around the diner, like it was a dream she thought she'd never return to. Can I still have pancakes? Rachel smiled. Always. Mr. Walker watched the exchange quietly, his expression softening. You gave her something I never could, he said. You saw her as just a child, not a responsibility, not a secret, not a burden. Rachel shrugged gently. She was just a little girl in need of pancakes. That was all I saw. Mr. Walker paused, then pulled something from his jacket pocket. I know this may sound strange, but I'd like to thank you properly. He took out a checkbook. I can make a donation or help you in some way. You changed her life. Rachel shook her head. I don't need anything, really. I didn't do it for that. She looked over at Lily, now seated in her usual booth, like she'd never left. I just wanted her to feel safe. Mr. Walker hesitated, then nodded. He slipped the checkbook back into his pocket and instead pulled out a small silver card. Then let me offer this. It's not a reward. It's a door. If you ever want something more, school, a new path, anything, call this number. You helped my daughter when I couldn't. Let us help you. Rachel took the card. It was heavy in her hand, simple and elegant. There was no company name, just a number. She looked up at him, unsure of what to say. Thank you, she whispered. Mr. Walker nodded. No, thank you. Lily waved from the booth. Rachel waved back, eyes full. For the first time, she understood the full weight of what she had done. Kindness had rippled outward. What she had given without expectation had returned to her in ways she could never have imagined. Lily finished her pancakes, this time with a brighter face and slower hands. She looked like a child again, lighter, freer. Rachel brought her the usual syrup and slipped a folded napkin with a new, smiley face. Lily grinned. I missed those, she said. Me too, Rachel replied. They shared a quiet moment before Lily was escorted out by her father's team. But this time there was no sadness, just something warm, like the end of a good chapter and the beginning of another. As the door closed behind them, the diner slowly returned to life. Conversations restarted. Coffee cups clinked. But Rachel stood still for a moment longer, staring at the door. Mark walked up beside her. So, who was that? Rachel smiled to herself. Just someone who mattered. She didn't offer more. She didn't need to. Some stories, she knew, were meant to stay between hearts. Days passed. The corner booth no longer felt empty. It held a memory now, a quiet reminder of how much a simple act could mean. Rachel kept the card in her wallet, though she hadn't called. Every time she looked at it, she felt something shift inside her. Maybe life was about more than tips and tables. Maybe there was a bigger world waiting. And maybe, just maybe, kindness was the key to unlocking it. On a quiet Thursday morning, a sleek envelope arrived at the diner addressed to Rachel. Inside was a photograph. Lily, smiling wide, standing next to her father in a garden full of sunflowers. On the back was a note in careful handwriting. Thank you for seeing me when no one else did. Love, Lily. Rachel read it once. Then again. She placed it in her apron pocket and went to start her shift, heart a little lighter, soul a little fuller. That morning, she brought pancakes to table 5 with extra syrup. She tucked a smiley note under the plate without thinking. The customer blinked in surprise. "What's this?" Rachel smiled. "Just something sweet. On the house." She didn't explain further. The magic of kindness didn't need explaining. It just needed repeating. The diner felt different now. Not bigger, not louder, but somehow brighter. Rachel's coworkers noticed it too. She seemed lighter, more at peace. She still checked the door at 7:45, but not out of sadness anymore. She did it with quiet hope. Because sometimes you never know who's walking through that door. And sometimes the smallest soul carries the biggest story. Later that week, a young boy came in alone, clutching a crumpled menu. Nervous, quiet, Rachel walked over, knelt beside him, and said gently, "How about pancakes?" The boy nodded, and the world shifted again, just a little, because one act of kindness had started a ripple, and now it was spreading. Rachel kept the sunflower photo tucked into the corner of the order screen. It became her reminder of Lily, of love, of what it means to truly see someone. Customers asked about it sometimes. She'd smile and say, "It's from a friend who taught me something important." They'd nod, and that was enough. And so, life at the diner rolled on. Coffee was poured, pancakes were flipped, and people came and went. But Rachel knew, deep down, that everything had changed. Because kindness had come full circle. And in the softest way, it had turned a corner booth and a stack of pancakes into a lifeline. Into hope. Into something that would never quite fade. Like and subscribe to my channel for more contents like this, and let us know where you are watching from under the comment section.